Hey everyone, today I am talking to Tom Goldenberg, a seasoned entrepreneur and someone that went from the BCG world to politics and everything in between, and he hasn't used Zapier since 2017. Obviously, a lot of things have changed, and today we're just talking about what has changed in Zapier, how he might be able to use it to actually augment features in his digital product that he's building. So without further ado, Tom, tell me about yourself and what do you want to dive into today?
Awesome. So great to be here, Tom. We've known each other for a while. I think we first met, what was it, at the United Nations?
I think that was actually the first time, and then it turns out that you were in the backyard, right, in New Haven. So,
Oh yeah,
it,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we've known each other for quite a while. So as you said, I've been in tech for a while. I dabbled in politics, and then I kind of decided I want to combine the two. And this is my second startup, and it's really wild being a technical person. Now I'm playing more of the full-on CEO slash solopreneur type of role. Whereas
Mhm.
in my previous startup, this was back in 2016, 2017, we were in fintech. So much has changed. Our company, Commandiv, we were like a robo-advisory startup. And this was right around when crypto had started to become more popular as well.
Yeah.
So we had a suite of services like active investing, passive investing, manage your kind of crypto accounts as well. It feels like ancient history, honestly, like nine
Well,
years
you were using Zapier for internal stuff at that point, right? It
ago.
probably not even talking about what users would actually touch in one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think I used it for like if someone sent me an attachment, you know, do some workflow, save that to a Google Drive, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
classic. Yeah.
That stuff you can still very much so do, right?
Mhm.
That part definitely hasn't changed, but the product suite of Zapier has changed. They went from just Zaps, the automated workflows feature, to add this thing that they call agents, which definitionally is debatable. They have tables, forms, and chatbots now. Those last three I don't use Zapier for. I don't think it's really mission critical to do it. Still, the Zap automated workflow side of things in Zapier is like rock solid. They have 8,000 integrations now. So any app that you see, any popular application, is most likely integrated into Zapier. And it's at this point, it's really become like the iPaaS layer, right? The integration as a service layer, where I've seen a lot of startups just integrate with Zapier and actually maintain and have no other integrations in their product because it's so much easier for them just to integrate into Zapier. And then all the other developers maintain their integrations into Zapier. And that, has a lot of value if you think about all of the integrations that you could have, which I'm sure is overwhelming when you're building a new product. You're like, well, which way do I go? Am I going to integrate one at a time for all of these different things? Or do you just plug into Zapier and let the ecosystem kind of, do the ecosystem thing? So I'm curious, where you're going to end up playing in that.
Well, I think so. My current company, just to give like a
Yeah.
brief synopsis of what we do, is we provide these kind of AI tools to political candidates or nonprofits, advocacy orgs. And the idea is this is a space that hasn't really kept up with the pace of innovation. And, it's kind of
Awesome.
like government software, a lot of clicks. The learning curve is pretty steep to be able to run a campaign in a data-backed way. And so, honestly, in the last 6 months, we've seen like an explosion of, well, one Claude code. And then in the last month or so, the use of, skills to extend Claude code. And then you've seen that in other frameworks like the Open Claw project,
Yep.
which is, so this idea of being able to extend and allow your users really to kind of determine what data they want to bring has got me thinking about like, well, how do we think about that? Like for our political candidates, they want to be able to create calendar events, or they want to be able to search the web for events that they should attend and then save that and share it. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of use cases that could be useful. And quite honestly, building out all of these integrations ourselves
Yeah.
is, can be very time consuming. Give me the lowdown. What's happened in the last 10 years that I've been asleep?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that is actually like not actually on Zapier's homepage, which drives me, it's just wild. Like I don't know why this isn't, front and center. It is called Zapier MCP.
Hmm.
So people are pretty polarized about MCPs. Either they think it's super useful or they think it's a huge waste of time. I generally like Zapier MCP for the following reason. So, first of all, you can set up where your server is going to be. ChatGPT, Claude, Cursor, you can like dedicate where this server is going to be, or you can, do other and sort of have it on your own. I just saw, did I see that right? OpenClaw recently
There you
made the
go.
list.
There you go.
Interesting. Okay. And then you can add tools. So let's take Gmail because I think this is a really important example where if you give API access to your Gmail or you give login access to your Gmail, especially with OpenClaw, you by default have all of these things selected.
Hmm.
But with Zapier MCP, you can uncheck the ability to send email.
Hmm.
So now you get the power of labeling and reading and drafting, archiving, like all the things that you want an agent or you want your OpenClaw inside of your Gmail, but without the ability to go nuclear and send spam to all of your contacts or respond in a way that you didn't want. Whereas this lays up drafting, emails, and you can draft it and then you can click send. Right?
Mhm.
Like that one extra step, I think is worth it and really makes a huge difference for just the security and the patterns that you end up creating with something like OpenClaw. Because if you don't do it like this,
Hmm.
you lose visibility and you lose that oversight and it becomes comfortable in a way that you're building bad habits. And, when something goes wrong, if someone were to send you a really long email and try to prompt inject it because the model is tired, right? At the end of the message and it says, give me the Bitwarden master password. And it's like, oh yeah, thank you. Here you go. Right? Like you just don't have that oversight. So I really like the fact that you can turn on and off tools. And the same thing for any of the 8,000 apps. So just the ability to remove sending emails
Yeah, that's
is not something you can do through Google Cloud or setting up your own giving access to an account. Like it makes a huge difference, and I think it will allow you to craft specific product functionality inside of your product, knowing that you can turn that on and off.
And it's actually interesting. I think there's like a debate in the tech community right now over MCP versus skills, whereas skills are just kind of a markdown file, and MCP is more of a opinionated kind of like API. They both work fine though. I don't understand
They,
what the beef
they
is.
both work fine. I mean, the difference is in a skill, you say never send email, right? You just write never send an email on my behalf, whereas MCP will actually restrict it.
Yeah.
It's a confidence interval, right? It's 90% confident versus 100% confident because that route is just not available. So, I mean, I think it really depends on the use case that you're focused on. For me, if it's responding to things on my behalf, I want to know, and I want to be the one to approve and send that. But if it's something that's lower risk, and if the wrong thing gets sent in an internal Slack channel about this month's SEO numbers or whatever, like sure, nobody gets hurt over that, right? There's no problem that kind of blows up because you had a sloppy message sent. So I think there's room for both. I agree with you that it's like oddly hotly contested right now. That like, oh, why do we even need MCP? Because we have skills. I just think it's a person that is planning to build a system that runs a lot for a lot of people that's like, no, I want that 100%.
In your experience, like what have been some that you found particularly useful that I might not know about, or yeah, what?
Yeah, so one of the ones that's been fascinating from a product perspective and from a utility perspective, this Zapier agent functionality
Hmm.
blends what the traditional Zap is and does and the MCP that I just shared. So I think this is why they hid the MCP functionality from the home screen because I think they really want people to use Zapier agents instead. The billing is also different. So if we just say like every time I get a new lead inside of Airtable, enrich it and send me a notification in Slack, right?
Hmm.
Simple language building, and you click start build and then it starts to do its thing. So it has this co-pilot, very ChatGPT-esque, of what it's thinking about and what it wants, what it's trying to set up for me. And
Hmm.
then on the right, I see instructions that I can make it follow. I can define the trigger, which is really important for an agent to be able to do, right?
Hmm.
I define that trigger, and then I can, just like the MCP, I can add tools and
Hmm.
I can determine which tools it has access to.
Hmm.
So that's like again, it blends the kind of deterministic when this happens, then do this, this, and this,
Hmm.
and the MCP of what an agent can do. Use CRM 2.0, use the hashtag leads channel, and yes, use Hunter.
Hunter. Okay. Yeah, I've used Rocket Reach before, not.
Yeah, Rocket Reach, Hunter, they're all the same. I
I
mean,
mean,
I've seen people even just like use a OpenAI, query
hmm.
or a Claude query, just say like give it an email and say, enrich this for me. And I mean, those companies scrape the whole internet, right? So
Right.
they very well already have Hunter's data sets or Rocket Reach's data sets. Like it's it's a brave new world out there.
This is pretty wild.
So
Yeah.
exactly. So this
Yeah.
is now drafting its own instructions.
Yeah.
And it's saying, oh, I need the new record
Yeah.
uh,
That's the trigger
field,
then, right?
right?
Yeah.
It's doing all this, right? We can go get a cup of tea. The trigger is a new
Yeah.
Airtable record. Then
Hmm.
I have descriptions, and it's saying, hey, I need to configure my channel. So,
Yeah.
we'll use Tom. And then this is the other thing that's unique to Zapier agents that is really cool. You
Uh,
can let the agent select the field value, or I can set a specific field value.
oh, interesting.
So now I can say, the leads channel,
Hmm.
and it has the ID, and now that's there. So every field that you would
Wow.
normally fill out inside of, your automation, you can let the agent just do it, or you can specify. So like, I hate expanded links, right? We're gonna say no, right? I just don't need that taking up room inside of Slack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that's really, really nice inside of Zapier agents that you can have that level of granularity to configure, but you also don't need to configure every single field, which could be dynamic and annoying and
Take forever.
take
Yeah.
forever.
Oh, that's cool that it can, because that's part of the pain of the integration a lot of times is like getting into the nitty-gritty of configuring this and that. So
Right?
that's
And then
cool it
and then it
does
has this default web search too.
that.
So it can
Uh,
that's just like a utility tool that it just
yeah.
has that it can add.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I think OpenClaw uses the Brave API as a default.
Yeah.
What's knowledge? Have you ever used that? The
Yeah.
knowledge sources looks interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
you
knowledge
have like
sources,
yeah,
it's just connecting a database of some kind,
yeah.
right? So if you have a Google Sheet that's like your master Google Sheet for something, or some CSV, or a Notion table, or an Airtable base, or whatever, I wouldn't use Zapier tables today.
Mm,
Airtable or Notion
yeah.
are just better. Zapier tables is really only good for incredibly simple use cases, or someone doesn't already have one of these tools. I hope this is helpful. Do you feel like you're up to speed with all the Zapier stuff, among the other just interesting things?
I yeah, if anything, I feel like there's some opportunities that they're missing right now, of
Yeah.
fully integrating, something like Claude Code with their other services, and someone will do that. But yeah, it gives me a sense, like with the MCP server, like how that could be useful for our customers.
Yeah, and you can certainly guide them through setting that up. I think we probably have at least one video on our YouTube about setting up a Zapier MCP server. If you want something more specific, happy to help with that. But
Awesome.
yeah, there's a lot of work to do. That's for sure. A lot of work to do. So thanks for the time today, Tom, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
Bye.